Hello friends, for today's video I just wanted to really quickly go through the news that Andrzej Sapkowski is working on another Witcher book. Really quick, I wanted to shout out the account Witcher Flicks over on Instagram. This has for years been my favorite Witcher account. The way they go through Witcher news is always really helpful, really concise, really to the point, and they also do fantastic wrap-ups and reviews of the show. They tell you what's related to the books and what things in the games have been inspiration for the show, and they're fantastic. They just are everything you could want to know about Witcher, or any bit of reviewing that you'd like to see about Witcher. They've got it. So definitely check them out if you're a Witcher fan, even if you're not a fan of the show. I haven't been watching the newest season, but I still kind of get my news about the season through this account. I love them, so definitely check them out. But they posted a quote from Sapkowski that says, "Yes, I'm working on a new book about Witcher, and quite diligently. It may take a year, but no longer." So I really like how he's like, yeah, that's it. That's what I have to say. And apparently it says that he said this in a live stream with Ukrainian fans by Fantastic Talk via Redanian Intelligence. So that's interesting news. I asked over on my Instagram stories what all of your thoughts were, so I wanted to go through your thoughts, react to those, and then I'll go through my thoughts. So just jumping into it, the first one says, "Need to start The Witcher then," which is interesting that a new Witcher novel is the thing that makes you potentially want to jump into the series. For me, the ranking goes The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt, then the books, and then the show. I don't even like to acknowledge that the show exists. Not because I don't have an issue with it the way some people do. I just don't think it's very good. But I do quite like the books. I think that the best of Sapkowski's writing is in the collections of short stories, and then also here and there within the series, but I just feel like he's a fantastic short story writer, so that's what my favorite part of The Witcher is within the books. And then the video game is just fantastic. I've never really had a chance to play The Witcher 1 and 2, so when I say video game, I'm referring to the third one. After that, we have I Can't Wait. So that's cool that you're excited. We do have some mixed opinions in this. Another person said, if it's anything like the Season of Storms, another collection of short stories would be cool though. So Sapkowski did clarify that if he's going to write it, it's not going to be a sequel. So you're not going to see anything that takes place after the events of Lady of the Lake. So if it's anything, it's going to be a prequel or a sidequel, as he calls it, which is what is being referenced here. Season of Storms. Season of Storms is considered a sidequel. And I'm fine with that. I'm pretty picky about continuations anyway. Once you've kind of closed the door and you've had that final chapter, I usually lean toward wanting you to let it be. And then exploring other things in the world or exploring previous things with the characters, I'm fine with that because you're not affecting the end of the series. But I think I like Season of Storms more than a lot of other people, so I would be perfectly fine with it being a sidequel type of story. The collections of short stories are not prequels, even though you would think they are, because the events of those take place before the events of the main series, but they were written before the main series, so it can be kind of confusing. But regardless, I think a sidequel would be a lot of fun. And I'm with you. A collection of short stories would also be fun. I'm excited. Can't be worse than the show. Amen. I agree with that. I just hope it's good. Me too. Someone else said, very excited. Happy tears. It's like a medicine to my soul wounded by the bad TV series. Yeah. So that touches a little bit on some of my thoughts, which we'll get to, but I'll keep going. I thought the last book and the prequel were the worst in the series, so low hopes here. I understand that. Like I was just saying, I like the sidequel a little bit more than a lot of other people seem to. So I think it could be really cool if he's doing it that way. However, Lady of the Lake also is not my favorite. That's a pretty common thought that the last book is not I don't know very many people that love the last book and think it's the best in the series. So I see what you're saying. I think if it's a collection of short stories, that's where it would be the best. So, I understand, though, what you're saying. Someone else said, for goodness sake, not necessary. That's true. I can understand feeling like, okay, well, we don't need any more, But I will say Sapkowski has written other things besides Witcher. I just don't think they're nearly as popular. I hear they're very dense, and I already feel like the Witcher series gets a little convoluted. I still really enjoy it, but there are times that it's a little hard to figure out who's who, because he does jump around between various different nobles and things like that that aren't your main crew that you've come to love. And so whenever he does that, you're kind of like, why am I following these people? And I've heard that the new series that he's written is like that to the extreme. So that's why I've never picked it up. But maybe, you know, he loves writing Geralt and his story, and I would rather, I mean, I don't plan on picking up the other series. So if he's going to write more books, if I'm going to pick him up, it's probably going to be Witcher, unless he did something new and maybe not in that format where it's hopping around so much. If any of you have read his other series, definitely let me know. Someone else said, I'm excited. What about you? I will wait and see. I'm going to try to keep my expectations in the middle. I'm not going to have low expectations or super high expectations. George R.R. Martin, take notes. Yeah. Oh, exciting. I mean, I'm all for it. Something akin to Season of Storms, right? Not a sequel, I guess. Yeah, that's the case. I can't wait. Excited. Cool beans. You guys have great replies. And then never read the Witcher books, but I think I'll have to. So we kind of started and ended on a similar note there. So I'll go ahead and give my thoughts. I just kind of sprinkled my thoughts in throughout, but there's another part that I wanted to go a little bit further into. I, like many people, am not a fan of the show. And I say like many people, meaning a lot of people that already loved Witcher are not all that interested in the show. That's not true of everyone, of course. There are still plenty of people that like the show. I mean, it was the most watched thing on Netflix, I think, when the new season started. So obviously there's a lot of huge fans. But the show has done... It's weird because they take certain things directly from the books, and then they change what feels like some of the most vital parts of the story. So I'm like, I don't understand the decision making that's happening, but that's fine. I mean, we still have many different versions of the story now, so I am fine just not watching the show. I still have the books. I still can play the video game whenever I want. So I'm not upset that the show isn't my favorite, but I do feel bad for Sapkowski because I just feel like there's this sort of up and down where when the Witcher games first came out, and also there was a really, really old Witcher show too that I've heard from some people it was pretty good. I believe it was in Polish, so I never got the chance to see it. I don't think it's on par with things like Game of Thrones. I don't think it had that level of a budget, but point is, Witcher has had some adaptations. The first game, the second game, they had some success, but it really, really, really became big with Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. So before that, Sapkowski was just kind of expecting, like, fine, whatever, yeah, do what you want with my story, at least from what I've seen of interviews of him and everything. And then The Witcher 3 happened, and suddenly it brought so much more attention to his books. It made The Witcher go from this thing that was very well loved in Poland to being international and known pretty much all over the world, hence the word international. But point is, it suddenly had this immense amount of success, and then that caught the attention of a bunch of other people, and you see the Netflix adaptation start. I know I was so incredibly excited when they announced the adaptation, and then I was so disappointed in the adaptation, and now that is kind of the lasting impression for a lot of the population. That is what people think of when they think of Witcher. And I can understand if a writer has more to say about a character, I'm always all for them doing whatever they're passionate about, writing what they're passionate about. But I can also understand if there's a part of you that still wants to, I guess, hold on to, like that's your story. That's the thing that you put so much time and energy into, and it's almost like you're reclaiming it, in a sense, by him writing more Witcher. And I think that's kind of cool. It's kind of like what I imagine when somebody mentions George R.R. Martin. Part of why I've never picked up A Song of Ice and Fire is because I've always figured I would wait till the series was done. I may wait forever, but I do think that George R.R. Martin's going to see something similar to what I'm describing, where when he writes the rest of his series, he can kind of reclaim it, and that lasting impression that a lot of us have after the show went downhill, we can kind of see it go back up. And because some of you even mentioned you haven't started Witcher, but you might now, by writing more in that world and having there be more to the story, it might reintroduce people to Witcher, it might introduce people for the first time to Witcher, and it just kind of allows it to be his again, in a sense, if that makes any sense. I understand that when you allow things to be adapted, you know, it belongs to so many people, and there's so many different versions of it, and whichever version is your version, that's completely fine. I just mean, I can see him wanting to just keep writing. I guess that's really what it comes down to. So those are my thoughts. Like I said, my expectations are just right in the middle. I will definitely pick it up whenever it's released, and I'll be keeping my eyes out for any more announcements. Like I said, definitely check out that account because they're phenomenal. I'm sure they'll be giving updates once they have them. But that's it. Thanks so much for those of you who submitted your thoughts on this. And for anybody watching, I would love to know what you think of this news. But thanks for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.